much does it cost to travel Australia and how can you afford it? Have got to be the single biggest questions I have been receiving lately, guys, in regards to my travel, both from people in real life and online. So I wanted to jump on today. I have got my laptop here for you and I'm going to jump into basically the actual facts and some of the statistics of my own travels, what it costs, what I saved for it, what it's really like basically, so that you can stop worrying about the money or start setting some saving goals and get yourself actually out there on the road. Alrighty, hello guys, big welcome back to my channel. It is awesome to see you all here again, or a big welcome if you are new. My name is Laura, and as you just heard today, I'm going to be walking you through some of the actual facts and figures of how much it really is costing me to travel Australia, because it's a massive question that I've been getting a lot lately. Now you might also notice, if you've been following my videos, I'm currently at home. I'm not on the road at the moment. I am taking a break with family to be home over the holiday period. So guys, I will be carrying on with my normal videos shortly, or if you're new and want a little bit of context, you can jump back and watch them. But I wanted to take the time while I had this opportunity to answer this really big question that everyone's been asking me, and hopefully help some of you guys out if you are planning on traveling or wanted to compare it to your own numbers, or just curious so that you can get yourself on the road. So with that said, in this video, I am going to be giving you some actual numbers. I'm going to be talking about how much probably you need to have saved, or if you need to save sort of before you go, what sort of amount we're talking about. I'm going to be talking about, of course, the actual numbers from the trip that I just did. I have obviously completed my Queensland trip now that I am home, as I said, over the holiday break. I'm going to tell you how much that cost me over that 7-month period, and as well the breakdown of those costs. Also, I know money can be a really big stumbling block on actually getting yourself started, whether it's talking to your partner you're going to travel with about it, or knowing yourself how much you want to save or how much you're willing to spend on the trip. It can be a really massive issue in getting yourself started. So I wanted to give a quick disclaimer that unfortunately there is no magic number I can just give you here today in this video to say if you have X amount of dollars, you are going to be able to travel Australia, because the reality is that everyone just travels really differently. I travel solo, so obviously it's the cost of one is going to be different to the cost of a family. I travel in a car. Someone with a big caravan is going to be different to say a young couple traveling in a troopy. It's just really, really different for every situation, but I want to do the best I can to give you the background and the information you need to compare it to your own situation. So how much do you need to save before you hit the road to travel? Now this question I think is actually super interesting because it can go two ways. Now the first one is that I say to you, actually you don't need to save much money at all. As long as you've got a little bit in the savings and your bills are paid off, you are good to go. The catch to this is that you will actually probably, depending on how you travel, have to work down the track. If you're happy to do that, then I'd say absolutely go for it. The biggest, I think, mistake I made the first time was not going sooner. So I started traveling when I was 19 and I was really hesitant to actually take off because I was so worried I wasn't going to have the money in the bank to be able to keep traveling and I was just going to be stuck somewhere. It's not really the case. You can travel really cheap and there is a lot, I want to say a lot of job opportunities out there at the moment if you are willing to work. So I've been really lucky. I haven't actually worked on the road while I've been away. I'll explain a little more in a moment as to why. But for most young people, couples or solo travelers, I want to say this best fits you. Save up a little bit, whatever you've got, pay off your bills, be ready to go, and just make the most of it. Take on the extra experiences along the way. Get a job in a bar, in a cafe, fruit picking, whatever your trade is, in tourism. There's a lot out there. It can be a really great experience for you. Now your second option to answer this question is of course that you save a bulk amount before you actually take off. Obviously not everyone can do that. I'm not in a position at the moment to have hundreds of thousands of dollars obviously saved to infinitely travel Australia. However, for some people, it might be the best option. For example, if you are a young family, you've taken your kids out of school, you've taken a year off work, you just want to go and do your lap. Maybe you've sold your house, maybe you've sold off things to go travel, maybe you've saved up your income. whatever you've done, maybe you just want to travel for a year, you really either need to still have some income coming in or have that full amount before you set off, which sounds amazing. Trust me, for those of you who are able to do that, I think that would be the ultimate way to travel, just traveling without working along the way. This, of course, is also all your grey nomads probably fit into this boat. These are the people who have an income still coming in, or your pensioners, or your older people who are retired and traveling. I absolutely love that for you guys. Maybe that'll be me one day, just cruising around with some sort of income coming in as well. But for the most of us, I would just say save whatever you can, set yourself some sort of goal, however many months you initially want to travel without working, aim to save that block of money, pay off your bills before you go. So as I did just say, I actually have been fortunate enough not to have had to work on the road so far. I would be more than willing to, however, I'm just not at that position yet where I need to. And I mention that purely to say that it is very affordable as a young person, and also because that is one of the questions that you guys have specifically been asking me about my travels. So to give you the context to that, guys, basically I did start traveling at 19 when I said. I finished school at 18 and then worked 3, I think, part-time jobs straight after that, doing as many hours as I could and saving for the purpose of traveling. I live in a relatively small area, so there is pretty limited work opportunities. I didn't go to uni, I just purely worked on saving, and then I did take off on that trip. That, however, only lasted about a month or two. COVID cut it really short, unfortunately, and I did come home after that. I'm also very lucky in my family situation. I wasn't paying rent. I'd paid off my car, so I didn't have any massive bills to pay, which allowed me once again to save. So at that point, I think I still had 2 jobs that I came back to, worked again. COVID cut me back to 1. However, I was very lucky to keep a job and work as many hours as I could, just purely working on saving. Come April, I think I finally quit my job, so I was completely out of work. By that time, I had saved almost twice as much as I had initially left with, which put me personally just in a very comfortable situation for the way I like to travel, which is relatively cheaply anyway. And I basically traveled for 7 months then without working. That was this Queensland trip that I've been talking about. So no work, just purely traveling, holidaying around, which was really amazing, meeting awesome people. As I said, lots of job opportunities available if I had wanted them, but that's put me now home for the Christmas period without working. So I've been very lucky there. So the big question is then, how much did it actually cost me? Now, if we break it down to just this previous 7-month trip I did, obviously costs are very different for smaller trips or for that month or 2 in between. But if we're talking about larger scale traveling Australia, for the last 7 months, it actually cost me just under 8 grand. So about $7,800 my total came out to. Now, this includes almost everything. I want to say it includes my fuel, my food, my accommodation, my tours, souvenirs, attractions, mechanical repairs, shopping, clothing, anything else. The only things that do not come out of that are like my car, rego, green slip. All of those bills I paid at the start of the year, so they are not actually included in that total. However, my phone bill, things like that that I'm using day to day, my internet, are included in that total amount. Now, to break it down further for you, I actually broke those, or that total expense, up into 5 categories, which are my main expenses. Those were fuel, food, camping, shopping, and of course, attractions. I chose those particular 5 just because it made it easy for me to keep track of, and of course because I think they will be your similar major costs, whether you're a family and solo traveler, a couple, literally whatever, on a road trip in Australia. They are your major big expenses. Obviously, my mechanical expenses I've put under shopping, things like I needed a new tire, I needed a service, things like that are just part of those additional costs as well. So it is worth noting, I'm going to read you out these costs as well, but they are going to be different to yours. I just want to give you a rough idea of what you're expecting so that you can give yourself an idea how much you need to save for those couple months to get yourself on the road. However, as a solo traveler, I did say have to pay the entire cost of fuel. If you're traveling with a partner, you can split that by two. My accommodation cost, it's usually charged for a minimum of 2 people. So even though I was one person with one vehicle, I'm still paying the cost of 2. You can split that if it helps you. Mechanical attractions, you can usually get a discount if you're a family, anything like that. So for a 20,000 kilometer road trip, I spent about just over $2,000 on fuel. I spent almost the same amount on attractions. Now, I really probably splurged on attractions this time because that was what was important to me. And I think it's important to have that thing that you really enjoy on the road. So I didn't say spend as much money on food because I'm not a big foodie. However, attractions wise, I took a few trips out to islands. Boat trips are expensive. I did some river cruises. I went to festivals. I went to museums. Entry to different things, all of those sort of things are covered in my attractions cost, which was, as I said, almost that $2,000 as well. My next big one was actually shopping. This covers, as I said, my mechanical expenses, my phone bill, internet, medical, all of those other things, as well as things like new shoes I needed, things for my car, just new clothes in general, anything that covers under the shopping category. After that, camping, as I said, was a big one, and accommodation. I personally free camped as much as I could. However, it can still get really expensive when you are visiting cities or more populated areas where it's just not really, free camping's not an option everywhere. So the total for camping came out at about $1,300. Again, that's over the total of 7 months. It worked out, I think, $6.20 a day for me to camp. So really reasonable. I'm of course set up with my vehicle to camp, so I do have that free camping option. And then food, I spent about $1,200 on. As I said, I eat well, however, I don't eat a lot. I'm not a big foodie, and that was of course the cost for one there. So that saved me a little bit of money compared to eating out. So I definitely would not say don't eat out, don't splurge on things. Just recognize that probably they might be a little bit different for you than to me based off your family or your own travel experience, whatever you enjoy. Now, how can you personally apply those numbers to your travels? So usually when it comes to traveling, when you're working out your costs, the ideal recommendation is to allow $1 for every kilometer you travel. Personally, mine worked out a bit cheaper than that. You could probably apply it for 2 people. I think that's the recommendation. Once again, remembering that I'm paying the full fuel cost, fuel, camping, all of those sort of things do add up. But if you want to work it out, say, as I said, for your first couple months, if you've got a rough idea where you want to go to start, work out $1 per kilometer, and that should include basically all your food, all your camping, all your accommodation. I just found that sort of helped me have a rough guideline for how much I needed when I was ready to start, and you will figure out very quickly how much you're spending per week, how much you're spending per month on the road. It gives you a better idea so you can keep going for longer periods and know when you might need to work or when you might need to save some money to go again. Now, I think, guys, that is basically all that I wanted to cover in this video. I think that answers your rough questions of how much you need or where to get started, or more specifically what it actually cost me, so you can have some figures to base it off, what you might need to save for yourself to get going. However, if you do have any other questions or think there's anything I really did miss, absolutely feel free to drop it in the comments and I will try and help you out there. Otherwise, guys, if you did enjoy this video, feel free to let me know. A like or comment or subscribe would be greatly appreciated, so I know that you guys are enjoying what I am putting out and I can hopefully help you with it in the future. Otherwise, a big thank you for joining me. I will have a whole lot of content yet to come. I still have a fair few of my Queensland videos to share with you all, and of course I am hoping to head away south again after this holiday period. So if you would like to stay tuned for those upcoming videos, I will hopefully have them up soon, and anything else you want to know. But otherwise, guys, safe travels this year. Hopefully that helps, and I will catch you all soon.